Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back, and today we've got to talk about one of the most unexpectedly confusing reveals in the Spider-Man universe right now, the brand new Spider-Noir series starring Nicolas Cage. Because Prime Video just dropped official posters, CCXP 25 gave us our first scene description, and instead of clearing things up, everything somehow got even more confusing. Fans are debating, the timelines don't add up, and a lot of people are wondering whether this show is connected to the Spider-Verse movies or if it's doing its own thing entirely. And honestly, the more we look at what they're setting up, the more questions pop up. So let's break down everything: the posters, the identity reveal, the first scene description, the cast, the production details, and why fans feel like this show might be rewriting what we thought we knew about Spider-Noir. And if you're a Spider-Man fan, especially a Spider-Verse fan, you're gonna want to stick with this one. So here's the situation. Nicolas Cage is returning to play Spider-Noir, but not the version you're thinking of. The posters Prime Video dropped look amazing, very pulpy, very 1930s detective noir. But this time, Cage isn't playing Peter Parker. Nope. The posters confirm that he's playing Ben Reilly. Yeah, Ben Reilly, the clone, the Scarlet Spider, the guy who's been everything from a fan favorite to a full-on villain named Chasm. And as soon as fans saw that name on the posters, the internet kind of erupted. Because here's the thing. In the Spider-Verse movies, the Spider-Noir that Cage voiced, the fedora-wearing, Rubik's Cube-solving black and white detective Spider-Man, is very clearly a Peter Parker variant. That is comic accurate. That matches the 2009 Spider-Noir comics. And that's what everybody expected from the live-action version. But Prime Video decided to switch things up and make him Ben Reilly instead. And immediately fans started asking the obvious question: why? Some people think it's a rights issue. Some think Sony just wants to use the Ben Reilly name to push upcoming storylines. Others think this is just one of those classic multiverse, our world, our rules situations. And to be fair, that might be the case. Sony's Spider-Man universe is already a bit all over the place. Venom is off doing his thing, Morbius is Morbiusing, Kraven is hunting, and none of those movies really connect smoothly to the Spider-Verse films, even though Sony keeps hinting at some kind of shared multiverse. So picking Ben Reilly instead of Peter Parker, it might be deliberate distancing, it might be creative freedom, or maybe they're saving Peter Noir for a future Spider-Verse project and didn't want to overlap. But whatever the reason is, they're definitely going to have to explain this in the show, because right now, fans are like, cool posters, but who asked for this? And just when the identity reveal had people debating on social media, CCXP 25 dropped the first scene description and stirred the pot even more. According to journalist descriptions from the Prime Video panel, the very first shot is classic noir. Dark alley, low lighting, a thug in a beret, total detective movie vibes. Then, out of the shadows, Spider-Noir's eyes blink and light up exactly like the comics and the animated Spider-Verse film. It sounds awesome. Visually, the show seems to be nailing it. Fans who saw the footage said Cage's presence feels heavy, gritty, almost haunted, which fits the whole aging and down on his luck private investigator angle. And here's where the confusion kicks in again. The CCXP footage confirms, once more, that this Spider-Man is Ben Reilly and not Peter Parker. In fact, at the event, they showcased the detective office door, and it literally says B. Reilly on it. They're not hiding it. They want you to know this isn't the noir Peter from the animated films. And look, the noir style, the gritty tone, the detective energy, Cage can definitely pull that off. He already proved he was a great fit vocally. But Ben Reilly has never been portrayed as an older, washed-up PI. That's traditionally Peter's lane in the noir universe. So effectively, Prime Video is rewriting Ben Reilly's whole identity to fit the noir mold. Will it work? Maybe, but fans have every right to be skeptical because messing with core identities is hit or miss with the fandom. The official synopsis makes things even more interesting. Spider-Noir tells the story of Ben Reilly, played by Nicolas Cage, an aging and down on his luck private investigator in 1930s New York, who is forced to grapple with his past life as the city's one and only superhero. That's actually a compelling setup, but it also raises a big question. Why call him Ben Reilly if you're reinventing him from scratch anyway? It almost feels like they swapped the names at the last minute just to differentiate him from the animated Peter. And while the show is officially described as taking place somewhere inside Sony's Spider-Man multiverse, there has been zero confirmation that this character is connected to the Spider-Verse Peter Noir we already know. And if they were connected, you'd expect them to say that. You'd expect a little marketing tease, but they didn't. So unless the show pulls a surprise reveal later, this might be a totally standalone take. Fans online have already started pitching theories. Some think this Ben Reilly might actually be a clone of a noir Peter Parker we never meet. Others think Sony is deliberately keeping the Spider-Verse and Spider-Noir projects separate to avoid creative interference. And then there's the theory that because Sony still hasn't fully figured out how their multiverse is supposed to interconnect, they're keeping things vague on purpose. Honestly, that last one wouldn't be shocking. Now let's talk about the cast. They're going big. Nicolas Cage leads. And rounding out the series, we've got Brendan Gleeson, Jack Houston, Lamore Morris, Lee John Lee, Lucas Haas, Cameron Britton, Craig Henningsen, Whitney Rice, and Abraham Popoola in the main cast. And there's a whole list of recurring names too. Karen Rodriguez, Amanda Shaw, Scoop MacArthur, Michael Kostroff, Joe Massengill, and Carrie Christopher. A stacked cast is great, but again, having names doesn't automatically guarantee quality, especially in a genre where the writing is everything. Fans are hoping the show leans into character-driven noir storytelling instead of relying on generic superhero formulas. Behind the scenes, the show has a pretty serious creative team. Bill Lord, Christopher Miller, and Amy Pascal, the big names behind the Spider-Verse films, are executive producing. That sounds impressive on paper, but fans are wondering how directly involved they'll actually be. Executive producer titles can sometimes be hands-on, or they can be just names on a credit sheet. We don't know yet. The showrunners, Oren Uzel and Steve Lightfoot, are interesting choices. Uzel wrote The Lost City and worked on Mortal Kombat 2021, while Lightfoot was behind The Punisher on Netflix, a very gritty, character-driven series. So there is potential for this to be grounded, emotional, and intense. And the director Harry Bradbury, the filmmaker behind the Enola Holmes movies, knows how to blend detective vibes with stylized action. That could be a strong combination, or it could feel tonally mixed. We'll have to see whether all these creative voices blend smoothly or clash. One thing we do know is that production's done. Filming wrapped in Los Angeles, and the whole thing is now deep in post-production. The series will debut on MGM Plus in the US and internationally on Prime Video. It's locked in for 8 episodes and is aiming for a 2026 release window. And with everything we've heard so far, fans are split. Some are excited because Cage in a noir setting just feels right. Others think Sony is complicating things for no reason. Because here's the truth. If Cage had just returned as the same Spider-Noir from the Spider-Verse films, fans would have gone absolutely crazy with hype. It would have been simple. It would have connected. But by switching his identity to Ben Reilly, Sony opened a whole debate about continuity, canon, and whether this show is truly part of the larger Spider-Verse or just borrowing the aesthetic. And maybe that's the point. Maybe they want a clean slate. Maybe they want the freedom to tell a grounded, noir mystery story without worrying about animated canon. Or maybe, and this is the cynical take, they're using the Spider-Verse branding and Cage's popularity to draw in viewers without committing to any real multiverse crossover. Either way, Spider-Noir is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing and confusing superhero projects on the horizon. A series set in 1930s New York, starring an older, morally complicated Spider-Man variant with Cage front and center. That alone will pull in viewers. But whether it becomes a fan favorite or another Sonyverse experiment will depend on how well they handle the identity switch, the tone, and the connection, or lack of connection, to the larger Spider-Verse. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for Cage's return as Spider-Noir, even if he's technically playing Ben Reilly now? Should Sony have kept him as Peter Parker for continuity? Or do you like this fresh direction? Let me know down below. Like and subscribe to Movie Sentry for movie updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you around.